Hi, everyone, and welcome to Taking Up Space with Jordan. I'm your host, Jordan. I started this podcast as a way to hopefully inspire women to go after their dreams by honestly simply coming on here and talking about how I'm doing it every day. A lot of the times we can get caught in our heads of what the end result looks like, and we don't understand that there is a lot of little routines and micro changes that you have to make and habits that you have to form for yourself in order to get to that dream life state. And so today I want to talk about a few of the hot takes, the hard truths that I am taking into 2026 because the reality is in 2025 it felt like a little bit harder than maybe it should have, and there was a lot of things happening outside of my control. And when I sat down at the beginning of this year, well, actually towards the end of the year, and started thinking about how I wanted to go forward with my life, I realized that I needed to have some hard truths. And so today we're going to talk about those hard truths, and maybe you need to hear them. Maybe you don't. Maybe you already know them. But whatever it is, you can sit along, listen along, and hope you take something away that you can take to your own life. And without ado, let's get into it. So at first, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I do think this is important as someone who believes that everyone is capable of getting to their dream life. Unfortunately, that has not been a reality for a lot of people that have been in this country for a long time. I'm speaking primarily about the United States. I live in the United States. I live in Washington. Thankfully, I do live in a very blue, pro-immigration, pro-abortion, for the most part, everything when it comes to just like being a person and wanting to live your life safely. There are some other issues with living in a blue state, including living in Seattle. But for the most part, I feel safe going out and existing in the world. And I feel like I am in a privileged space where I can explore like things like becoming a podcaster, being an author, and not feeling like I'm going to be in an unsafe environment. And that is unfortunately become a privilege in this country. And so when I talk about building your dream life, it is really hard to not also address the fact that there are people who are being taken from their homes. There are people who literally came to this country to build their dream lives, to build a better future for themselves. And so if you know someone that has been affected by this, if you are just being on the news, if you are doom scrolling on TikTok, I just want to also take this as a reminder for you that there are things that you can do. You can call your representatives. You can get involved in safe protests and demonstrations. You can donate to different organizations. There's tons of GoFundMe's out there to go and help the families that are being victimized and brutalized with what this country is doing to them. Also, this is something that's kind of hard to bring up, but try and also look for the positive things that are happening in this world. It can be hard. It can feel like you're saying like, oh, because this is happening, I can't be happy about this thing. And that's not the truth. Two things can be true at once. Three things can be true at once. So as you're navigating building your dream life, going and, trying to get that promotion at a job or trying to, lose weight, or we all still have goals. And so I can understand where you can be like, oh, it sucks because like I'm out here worrying about losing 20 pounds, but I'm not worried about losing my life. Those are two different things. And I think we need to give ourselves room to just also exist in living our lives. There are things that you can do to support the organizations that are the one like the ACLU, for example, and I'll also put ones down in the description as well. And if you know of any, put them in the comments as well so that we can continue to try to be our best selves while also helping others. And I know this was kind of ranty and a little rambly, but I wanted to come on here. It's really hard to be someone who is talking about going and building your dream life while this is actively happening in this United States. So that's on that. I am going to throw some stuff down in the description and in the comments. If you know of other organizations that could use support, let's do that. The biggest thing that we can do, the greatest thing that we can do for ourselves is continue to try to build our dream lives, because that is how they win. When they get the opportunity to push us down, to try to squeeze us in these little fabricated boxes that they want to create for us, and we push back on that, that is us winning. That is also a form of protest to continue going and to not be beaten down by the bullshit and the fabrications that this government keeps creating. So that's my little hot take on that. We're going to get into the real hot takes in just a moment. Okay, I have 5 specific ones that I want to talk about. The first one is about weight loss. So if you are somebody who doesn't want to hear about this, scroll ahead. I'm going to put it on the screen here to let you know at what timestamp I start talking about this, but I'm not here to trigger anybody, but I just want to also be, mindful of that because weight loss topics can be a little difficult sometimes to hear about. First thing, stop shitting on people who are doing GLP-1s, doing Ozempic, or anything like that. And the reason why is because we need to get it out of our heads that it is okay to continue to talk about each other's bodies on the internet. I'm talking about anyone from freaking Ariana Grande to, I think her name's Whitney Levitt, who's on Secret Wives and Mormon Wives, to Meghan Trainor, to Lizzo, to anybody who is actively online, who is doing what they need to do for their bodies. And I'm not saying that Lizzo is on GLP-1. I'm not saying that any of these people are on GLP-1s or Ozempic or anything like that. What I am saying is that get it out of your mind that it is your business to discuss other people's bodies. Because the thing is I have done a GLP-1. I did one for, I think, about 4 to 6 months last year. It's not as easy, quick, and simple as you think it is. It's not just I take this shot or I take this pill and then I lose the weight. No, it's not. You are punished if you don't eat enough. You are punished if you don't get enough fiber, protein, if you're not active enough. Because the thing is you are not going to lose the weight still if you are not moving your body, if you are not eating the nutrients that you need to fulfill your body. And are not a make it or break it, easy pass, you get to collect $200 type of vibe. It's not. And if you think it is, stop. Go and do your research first. Go and talk to people who have actually been on GLP-1s and then realize that it is not an easy thing. A lot of people get on GLP-1s because of diabetes, because of hormonal issues, because of a number of range of issues that I'm going to list right here on the screen. The weight loss thing, it's just another trend right now when it comes to GLP-1s and Ozempic, but it also doesn't matter because if it is something that works for someone to feel good in their body and feel happy in their body, who are you to think that it is okay to talk shit about them because their body looks different and they feel good about themselves? So stop it. That's hot take number 1. Start over. Hot take number 2. This is more on my brand and not about weight loss. So you're in safe company now if you don't want to talk about that. But hot take number 2 is your dream life should not be exhausting you. If it is, you are doing it wrong. What I learned last year is that I was trying to get to a dream life version of myself that I don't necessarily think she was actually realistic for me. I think at least last year she was not. And what was end up happening is I was burning myself out by trying to do routines. I was filming on Tuesdays and Fridays for 2 episodes, one that would be released on YouTube specific on Wednesdays, and then the Sunday episode. And what I found is I wasn't enjoying podcasting anymore. I wasn't enjoying my life. I was constantly staying up till midnight trying to finish things. And I was trying to come up with all this different content and it just wasn't working out for me. And while I do think those Wednesday episodes did help grow my platform, what I realized though is I wasn't enjoying my platform anymore. I wasn't enjoying doing the podcasting thing. I was burning myself out slowly, week over week. And so going into 2026, I needed to realize what my dream life actually could be attainable for me by the end of this year. And so what that means is I took away the things that were exhausting me. I stopped trying to write out all of these long scripts. I'm not looking at a script right now. This is just what's in my noggin. And that was another thing is I felt like I needed to get more comfortable just being able to talk off the cuff. And that's why I was doing some of those journaling out loud episodes as a way to get used to doing this and get used to being comfortable just speaking into the microphone, looking at the computer and just being comfortable. And so if you are feeling burnt out, tired, there is a difference in being tired as in like, things just didn't work out that week and just you weren't able to stick to your routines or whatever because life was crazy and That happens. But what I'm talking about is when that tired and that exhaustiveness is going week after week after week. I would say if you're feeling that way after 3 to 4 weeks, you're waking up at 5 a.m. to go and work out and go to a Pilates class and then shower, come home, walk your dogs, and then go to do 8 hours at the office, come home and do it all over again. Are you enjoying that? If you're enjoying that, pop off, sis. That's great for you. But if you are not enjoying the new routines, if you are not creating ease, peace, and joy in your life, then they are not meant for you. It means that you are out of alignment. And that's the hot take is you cannot be exhaustive in your dream life. Your dream life is supposed to fulfill you. It's supposed to nourish you. It's supposed to create ease for you. And so if you are feeling like you're not doing enough or you are feeling stuck or you're just so exhausted that you can't keep going on, just take a breath. Think about what's going on with you. Think about what those feelings are in your body, where you're holding them, and then look around. See what the universe is trying to show you. Maybe it is that you need to take a step back and you need to just enjoy this moment of peace and ease that you've worked so hard to create. Maybe that's all you need to do. Maybe you do need to push yourself a little bit more, get out of your comfort zone, go and take a class somewhere so that you can explore different options in your life. Maybe that's what it is. But you can only do those things if you're not feeling exhausted. Because if exhaustion is coming in, that means you're out of alignment. Hot take number 3. This is one that I was really struggling with when it came to filming content and, trying to just like be that bitch online. And what I realized is that I needed to be my own bitch and that just because my life doesn't necessarily look aesthetic according to the internet does not necessarily mean that I'm not living the life that I want to live. What I mean by that is your dream self, your life is oftentimes going to look boring and it's going to look like there's not much happening. It's going to look that way before it can start to look a little bit more glamorous. And the reason why is because a lot of the times we are in this building phase. When you see a house get built, it looks ugly. There's dirt everywhere, piles of timber, there's cement trucks, there's grown men scratching their asses, and it doesn't sound cute when you're building a house. It doesn't look cute. There's nothing like aesthetic about it. Do you know when the aesthetics happen? Is when the frame has been built, when the carpet, the hardwood, when all of the little accoutrement has been added to the house. That's when it starts to look a little bit more glamorous. But what has to happen to get there is you kind of got to go through that building phase. You got to wait to get to that glamorous side. And I think a lot of us push ourselves to like make things seem more aesthetic, make things seem more glamorous, when in reality, we're missing out on so much of what is happening in that building phase of our lives. And when we look back, that's when we go, oh, it was really cool that I had to do those things. Or look how strong I was when I went through that. That was difficult. So just take a moment, understand and appreciate where you are in your life right now. And maybe it doesn't look glamorous right now. That doesn't mean that there's nothing not happening in your life. All right. I was going between a boundary one and a forgiveness one, and I think forgiveness is going to be the one that wins. So hot take number 4. Hopefully we're on number 4. Hot take number 4 is forgiveness is not required for growth. I'm going to say it one more time. Forgiveness is not required for growth. You do not have to forgive the person for doing you wrong, for doing you dirty, for hurting you, for slandering you, for being mean to you in order for you to grow. And how do I know this? I don't forgive my ex. I don't forget my stepfather. Those 2 people I will probably never forgive. And it doesn't mean that I'm holding on to hatred. It doesn't mean that I am being boxed down by those feelings. What it means is I have chosen to understand that those things happened in my life, but I'm not going to let them hold me back. And I don't have to have that forgiveness conversation with somebody in order to move on. And I think it can be difficult to understand this because we're taught from a very young age that we have to forgive people in order to move on. We have to say, I'm sorry. But here's the thing. My God, I wish I could remember this quote fully, but I think it was from Drew Afuela, but I think she was quoting somebody as well. But basically, people that hurt you are not sitting around thinking, oh, I feel bad for that. So why are you sitting around and waiting to forgive them? Because they're going on with their lives. they might not even think that they did anything wrong. So for myself, I've chosen that there are certain people that I will forgive for certain reasons, but that's my prerogative. Forgiveness is something that I think a person has to earn, and there are some people that will never earn that from you. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're stuck in a place that you'll never move on, that you'll never grow, you'll never be the person that you want to be. And I think a lot of the times we hide behind this, we need to forgive this person in order to push past and move on and grow into the people that we want to be. So forgiveness, while it might sound great and good in fairy tales, I think in reality, it's not always going to happen. And so how do you move on? How do you move past needing to forgive someone, but also just needing to move on with your life? Well, I think you get comfortable with the idea that someone hurt you, but you're not going to let that person hurt you again. And unfortunately, that's not a simple thing. It's an easier said than done situation. But if you're sitting around and you're waiting for someone to say, I'm sorry, if you're waiting for your brain to be like, all right, I'm going to forgive this person, you might be waiting for a long time. And instead, look at how much life and opportunities is passing you by because you're waiting for this almost fictional forgiveness. A lot of my life, I did wait around for people to step up and say, I'm sorry, to say that they did me wrong, for my brain to finally be able to say, you know what, I do forgive them. And I let a lot of opportunities pass me by. I let myself hold on to a lot of anger and hatred and sadness and disappointment because every time I thought that I could forgive them, it didn't happen. And so moving into 2026, moving on with my life, I've decided that forgiveness is not necessary for me to move on, for me to have growth. And I don't think it should be for you either. All right. So we are at our fifth and final hot take, and that is if you find yourself at a crossroads in your life and you are standing there and you are waiting to make a decision because you just can't make a decision, I think the only thing that you can do is just take left or right. Just do it and then own that decision making. I think there is so much power in just owning the choices that you make rather than debating if it's the right choice. Because the only right choice is you making a choice. When we decide to stick to our guns, stick to our gut, follow our instincts, take the path that makes sense for us, what ends up happening is we are still opening ourselves up to whatever learning opportunities that we could learn by taking that path. It might end up being the path that is harder. It might be the path that leads to disappointment, maybe even heartbreak. But guess what? You still learned so much along the way. And I don't think that we should continue to be looking back and seeing if we could have made a different choice or whatever, because it doesn't matter. You've already made the choice, so stick to it. And you can learn when to take a different path again, because when we are just opening ourselves up to the universe to learn different things, take in new information, what ends up happening is we start trusting ourselves more. We start loving ourselves more. We start owning what we want in our lives. I want more women to follow the paths that they want to follow, not because someone said that they should, not because someone said this was the right thing or the wrong thing. I want more women to just own their lives and own their decision making because we are so smart, we are so capable, and we are so beautiful that when we decide to do something, for the most part, 9 out of 10 times, it's going to be the right decision. So as women, let's start owning our decisions. Let's start taking the path that we want to take, not because someone else paved that road for us, but because we want to do it. We want to be the mothers that we wish we'd had when we were growing up. We want to be the caretakers. We want to be the superheroes. We want to be the boss bitches. We want to be anything and everything that we want. Only way to do that is by owning our decisions in our own specific ways every single day. All right. Well, those are all my hot takes for 2026, the hard truths, the realities of what is life right now. And again, if you are struggling with these situations, the violence, the murdering that is happening of American citizens, of American people, of just people in general, understand that I'm right there with you. It is going to be hard to continue to persevere, to continue to go after our dreams. But when we stop going after our dreams, then we're kind of giving up. So this is your reminder. I understand life is hard. I understand there are things that are so far out of our control right now. But you know what's within your control? Continue to go after your dreams, to continue to form your own path, to form your own truth, and to form the way that you want to live your own life. Not because of some asshole in some fucking house, but because of what you want. So do what you want to do for yourself. And I hope that wherever you are in the world, wherever you are today, I hope that you have a better day than you did yesterday. And I hope that you can find some semblance in knowing that there are people out there that are struggling just as much as you, but are still trying to go after their dreams, like myself. Well, hope you have a good rest of your day. Kisses!